Back to the woodwork. Cool. So yesterday I had to stop sanding this because the pad on the orbital sander started to delaminate. So yeah, quick trip this morning. Got a new one. Random orbital is back in action. So I've sanded this now up to what do? I get up to 100 with the belt sander. Sort of on the early grits I go that way and then that way. But then once you start getting closer to sort of 80 and 100, just go with the grain only. Doing the edges with the little palm sander, palm orbital. Graduating up to 100. And then a hook onto the orbital, the random orbital, the bigger one, and then yeah, just do sort of 100, 120, 150, 180, 240. Get it up to 240 with the random orbital, and then I go just to a cork block, and I'll do a quick pass with the cork block with 240 again, and then 320. So that's just up to 320, and that is smooth. It's not like full on. This is sort of, I'm trying to do rustic furniture. I'm not trying to do full on hardcore fine furniture. So I haven't puttied up all the holes. I've left a few sort of circular saw marks in it on some of the circular saw ones. And there's some other marks in it. I don't know if you can see that. Some of these planks, one side of the plank was done with the slabber, so I would have been cutting in the log and then sort of got to a point and taken off a slab. So there's all the cross marks from the Lucas mill, from the dedicated slabber, and then I'd change back to cutting planks. So then you sort of put the dimension cutter on the mill and then drop it down your 2 inches or whatever you're cutting, and then you can take off some planks. So one side of these 6x2s has got chainsaw marks on one side and the other side's got circular saw marks. So, you know, when I'm doing a top, you can probably see it somewhere in the light. There's a few sort of cross-hatching circular saw marks there, and there's a few sort of chainsaw Lucas mill slabbing marks there. Yeah, you've either got to go all out and fill up everything, or machine it back so that every mark from the sawmill's gone, or you can sort of just leave it at a certain point and then just sand it nice and flat and smooth, and just accept that there's going to be some imperfections in the top. And that's sort of what I'm looking for, is a few imperfections, but still really nice and fine and smooth. That's enough of me rambling again. Yeah, I'm just going to put this up on the stand, and yeah, just leave the time lapse on while I put some oil on, and then we'll have a quick look once the oil goes on. Cool. So this is my own little recipe of finish oil. See over there. It's a secret recipe. I'm not going to say what it is, unless people really want to know. But yeah, the idea is that it's oil based with a little bit of lacquer in it. And because I'm in a dusty environment and I'm not a big fan of the shiny sort of lacquer kind of finishes, I really like a satin or a matte oil kind of finish, but still with a bit of durability of a polyurethane. So yeah, this is my own little blend. You paint it on, leave it for a few minutes, and then wipe off any excess and just leave behind the stuff that's penetrated into the timber. And then just repeat that process minimum 3 times, with your usual sort of curing time in between. And then you can finish with a wax or something at the end. So yeah, that gives me a nice sort of matte satin, very natural kind of a finish on the timber, but still with the durability of a sort of heavy duty polyurethane kind of deal. Hopefully, I'm experimenting with this finish. I've only done a few pieces with it now, but it seems to be working really well. And yeah, it helps in this dusty environment. As soon as you put a lacquer on something like this, no matter what, you'll come back the next day and it'll just be covered in dust and your nice shiny finish will just be ruined. Whereas this seems to just buff up really well. Alright, there you go. Just another little tidbit. Alright, see you next time on the forest floor. Howdy.